Today I wanted to share with you a project that's been percolating in my mind for a little while. I have a box of assorted LEDs that I keep on the side just in case I need one or two special LEDs for a project. Meanwhile, I go on the internet and I find bags like this that are unlabeled, and I think maybe that bag might have the special LED that I need for a future project. So I buy that one and I add it to the box. So finally I found a project that might work for a few of these. It's a little truck that I thought would look good with some LEDs in it. So let's go over to the workbench and I will show you what I have. This crafting story begins with a little styrofoam rod I found packed with a string of LEDs. It had been left over after some sort of event, and there were a bunch of them laying around, so I took it home and changed out the batteries. Discovered that it all worked just fine. Just a string of 3 little colored LEDs. Wasn't sure what to do with it until I got this little plastic truck. And I already took it apart, as you see. But it's a recycling truck. It's missing its little door in the back, and I thought I might try to refashion it, but I gave up on that because what I wanted to do was populate all these little sconces you see on the front, on the cab, and in the headlights with the LEDs I found. So that is what you will be watching for the next half hour. Now, the first thing I have discovered works great is this little punch that taps a little hole in there, and the hole provides a little guide for a drill bit. So I'm going to drill out all the holes, make sure they're big enough for the LEDs that I have selected, and then wire up this LEDs and see how it looks. As I started this project, I realized that I have a buddy at work who does a lot of the refuse removal. And I thought it'd be funny to make a little sculpture of him and put him in the driver's seat. And his initials will provide the logo for the imaginary recycling company that this truck belongs to. Here you are seeing me solder one of the last wires to those LEDs that are going into the cab of the truck. And I hot glued those in and then joined them up. Here I wanted to show the original colors of this LED strip were red, green, and blue, and that they were set on a crafty little schedule so that you click it 3 times and each one has a different sequence of blinking. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was part of why I thought it would be interesting to put these into a truck. So I just refashioned it, and I really liked that little button module, so I'm going to keep that and stick it on the bottom of the truck somewhere. Cool. Now for the action figure, I'm going to be using Sculpey, which is an oven-baked clay. And it always surprises me how little I need to create these things. I pulled off a huge chunk, and I'm probably only going to use half of it. So, after this initial kneading, I'm just going to speed up the crafting process for your pleasure, and all the music I'm playing on this video is made by me, so I hope you enjoy the little montage scenes you'll see. I won't include all of the steps. It's not meant to be a tutorial. It's just meant to be a look what I did kind of video, so I hope you enjoy it. As you saw in the last section, I thought I might put the red LEDs in the middle of the grill and decided later that I wanted them at the bottom. I don't think there are strict regulations about this kind of thing, especially in my imaginary world where this trash is being picked up. So, as you will see, the red lights will be the turning signals and the yellows will be the hazards. Now, for the headlamps, I didn't want to just stick a little white bulb in there. I wanted it to be nice and bright, and I wanted them to fill that whole cavity. So what I decided was I would make myself a lens. I have this UV activated resin, and I searched around and I found this little palette that I use for paint, and those little divots will make a perfect lens shape. So I'm going to hold the LED in there upside down and let the resin harden. And my plan was that it would sort of spread the light around a little bit more and I could stick it through the hole. If you cast your eye up to the corner of that palette, you'll see my first experiment with this stuff, just to make sure that I could actually dig the resin out of that little paint well once it's hardened. And as you see, I can. It does tend to be a little wet on the bottom, so I have to dig it out and then harden it the rest of the way. You'll see as I go through this montage, I try to harden it through the bottom of the palette, but I guess the plastic filters out a lot of that UV light. So I made a few more attempts just to see if I could get it right, and I think I got a few good lenses out of it. So I'm going to include that footage primarily because the blue light is just gorgeous, and I myself couldn't see it at the time. I only saw it when I was looking at the footage, as you are looking at it now, because I was wearing those amber filtering glasses. So I hope you enjoy this as much as I am.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
It was at this point that I began to suspect that I'd made a slight error, because I had just fished those wires through a convenient hole, and I thought that the hole was the result of some manufacturing process and that it wouldn't get in the way. But when I went to put on the dump canister, I realized that in lowering the canister, those wires would get smushed. And luckily, during this process, when I installed the switch panel down there in the bottom, I realized that there wasn't enough room, so I drilled some holes in the bottom to accommodate the little switch modules. And luckily, that exposed the circuit board so that I could just desolder the wires from the board and feed it through directly from the cab. So, problem solved. I just wanted to walk you through that little drama I had. Now, you might think that's the end, but it's not. I have to design a logo, and the logo will go right down here on the front of the truck where the license plate usually goes, and I might even put one on the back of the canister too. So I sketched out a little logo and then brought it into Inkscape, and then just proceeded to trace out that logo so that I could have a scalable image that I could play with and move around, because I don't think that's exactly the way I want it. So what you're seeing here is a very sped up version of what I did. And then after I had the outlines of this logo, I took it into Photoshop Elements and colored it.
Well, I decided that logo was way too small to waste on a license plate, so I decided I'd print out another one and glue it to the top of the canister. So, now it's all done. Once that glue dries, it'll be ready to roll. Oh, one last thing I just wanted to show you. Gripped in his hand is a little bitty phone. Now, he's not driving yet. He's still parked. See, his running lights aren't flashing. But when those flashing lights go on, he's trucking.
Well, my rig's a little old, but that don't mean she's slow. That's a flame from a stack and that smoke's a blowing black as coal. My hometown's coming inside. If you think I'm happy, you're right. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight.